Guys, look where I am. It's Congressman Subramanyam. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. There are lots of us with lots of questions.
Okay, great. Well, welcome to the basement of Longworth.
Yes.
We have friendly mice here, so we're right by the cafeteria.
How is that cafeteria? I might be stopping.
Pretty good. Yeah, I got some bibimbap today.
Nice.
It's pretty good.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, not too bad.
Okay, so we've got lots of people whose Congress members are not really answering their calls, so we brought some questions to you.
Okay, sounds good.
So, first question relating to that is it a requirement at all to speak to your constituents? Is there any sort of a, demand aside from voting on Congress members to interact with their constituents?
I just got named to the ethics committee, and so I'm starting to learn the rules really well.
Okay.
There's no requirement that you speak to your constituents. There's no requirement that you hold town halls. There's no requirement that you answer emails or phone calls or anything. So that's all optional. As long as you are not self-dealing, violating federal laws, or openly or secretly corrupt. That's usually what we investigate on the ethics committee, but not whether or not you're talking to your constituents.
Okay. And my understanding is that legally, there's no way to remove someone aside from election. There's no recalling of Congress people. Do you know anything about that?
Well, you may have seen George Santos, the ethics committee investigated him last year.
So for that stuff, you can.
So that sort of thing.
But for constituents?
But for constituents, no. There's the best way is to show up and vote.
Okay. And what would you suggest that somebody do who cannot get in touch with their congressperson? Is it even worth it to write emails? Is it worth it to send faxes? Protesting? What should they be doing if they're trying and they just can't get in touch?
Yeah, certainly if you try to call and they don't answer, you can try to email if they don't answer. Often members of Congress do public events and, the public is invited. And so you can always try to come to those and ask a question there or talk to them there. But, some members of Congress don't necessarily want to talk to their constituents right now.
Seems that way. And let me see. Is there any way, so these questions, by the way, are from them.
Okay.
I've asked them for questions.
Sounds good, thanks.
Is there any way to help those Congress people that are doing the right thing, that are standing up for us, besides money? Say you don't get any money, but you want to support the ones doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yes, we've got elections in 2026 involved, but in Virginia, we have elections every year. And so there's elections coming up this November, primaries in June. I think for members of Congress who are trying to do the right thing, sometimes they have trouble getting their message out. And so, pumping them up on social media, on X, for instance. Yeah, on X, for instance, I'll post something. And, the algorithm now tries to repress some types of posts. Also, I'll get a lot of negative comments if I say something negative about Trump or Doge.
Well, that's because you're on X.
Yeah. So I try to get on try to be everywhere, though, right? And so, but, making sure that you're also saying thank you and not just there to criticize, I think it helps as well. But longer term, I'm trying to figure out a way to create some relational politics. Right now our model is that we spend a ton of money on TV ads the 2 months before the election. And I'd like to be talking to my constituents throughout the year. And so that's why I welcome people reaching out to us. And then I also want to find people who may not think to reach out to me or may not even know to reach out to me with issues. And I try to see if we can, have a line of communication with them, with the entire community.
Well, and I will say I'm sure it's been a little bit of a crazy week here with Signal, but I know a lot of people were commenting similar things. People actually said in the comments, we want our Congress people to be talking to us on TikTok, on whatever. So there's definitely the hunger for that relational.
Absolutely. And keep trying. Don't stop trying to reach out to your members of Congress, and don't stop being active even if you can't. In fact, I think that is the time to be most active, is when your members of Congress are not doing town halls or not making an effort to reach out to their communities.
And do you think, I know you've seen there's a lot of empty town halls happening. Do you think those help in terms of getting press, like getting it seen that X person is not being held accountable?
Well, I think it's a great start. I think have the town hall, it ends up being sort of a rally in some ways, right? But then, meet all the people who are there and start to organize with them, right? And continue the momentum, and don't just let that be the last time people come together. I'm very, concerned about the direction of our country, but I'm optimistic that when people are speaking up and people are showing up, that there will be change, even if it's not soon enough. Eventually, there will be change, but we have to start the momentum. Again, what I've said over and over again is I found when we fight back, when we push, this administration does back down. We're going to continue to do that.
All right, here's the real question.
Okay.
How do we actually annoy our reps enough that they listen? What are the real things that annoy them?
Yeah, I don't like to use the word annoy. I have to work with the people here. But if you're showing up to their events and you ask them the questions directly there, or ask them, why haven't you answered my calls or emails, right? I think that will eventually get their attention. So that's why persistence is always important in this business.
Okay, and another real one.
Yeah.
Do you believe that all these Republican representatives truly believe all this stuff? Are they just being complicit, or do they believe in what's happening? Do you think they're being threatened, bribed? Like what? To so many people, it's just so outrageous, some of the stuff that they're allowing to happen.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't, we've already passed about 6 times where we thought the line was going to be.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, my hunch is that they don't believe a lot of the stuff the administration is making them vote for or support. Certainly, I look at things like Ukraine, Russia, and the Zelensky meeting that seemed to shock a lot of Republicans. I think a lot of Republicans will see tweets from the president and start to learn their new policy positions, right? And a lot of it is, feeling like they're in red districts, or needing to get reelected, or simply if I desert the president, he will take his revenge on me. And really, that's what this is all about. A lot of these executive orders, a lot of the president's moves are about intimidating people into falling in line. And when law firms, when universities, whoever it is, fall in line, then that's when our democracy erodes. And so that's why I say, take the hit now. I know it's not going to be easy. It's a hard thing to ask of businesses to lose some money, but you're going to lose money anyway when you see that there's a lack of trust in our institutions. And certainly,
and nobody has money.
yeah. And so, we're going to continue to ask that of Republicans to stand up for the right thing. And, so far that hasn't happened yet.
Okay. And then here's my personal question.
Yeah.
What do you actually get? So we're calling every day. We're making these calls. We're writing these emails.
Yeah.
What do you get from them? Is any of it actually being seen?
Yes. And I'll show you. We have a report like this, and basically I get a report on all the mail that comes in and out, and how many pieces of mail.
Can we look at this closer?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So can you give us like an overrun?
Yeah. So basically, I get a lot of calls and emails to our office, and I get a report basically almost every day, certainly once a week. And it starts off with, the number of pieces of mail I've gotten and the number of pieces of mail that I've sent out. We have one of the best response times in Congress, but thanks to our great staff. And then I get like a top 5 to 10 things that people are emailing about, and like a sample of those emails. So sometimes, for instance, the number one thing we've been getting is protecting the Department of Education. And so because of that, I went on the House floor today and did a speech on why I support people calling about that, and why it's so important to protect the Department of Education. And so it helps me. It helps me be responsive to people. It helps guide me on what I should focus on. And then the second thing I get is a summary of all the calls we get. And so we got about 250 calls this past week. And, they were everything from, funding cuts to federal agencies to, again, dismantling the Department of Education, and then Doge and Elon Musk. And we even get a day-by-day breakdown. And so, and then within that, we break it down into like little subtopics to like, if it's about Doge, like what about Doge? And so then this one actually says we oppose Elon Musk's involvement particularly. And so another one is the budget process and opposing the continuing resolution, or really a lot of people are angry about Chuck Schumer.
So if one person calls you and says, I don't like that they can pass the budget with the budget reconciliation with a simple majority, and someone else calls you and says, I don't like the $880 billion cuts to House Energy and Commerce, they're not both just going to fall under against budget. There'll be subgroups like that?
Yeah, subgrouped under it, yeah. And the other thing is, if we're getting a lot of calls about something, we try to ask, like, what's the like gist of what they're saying too? Like, are they saying the same thing? Like, we all oppose Chuck Schumer's actions, and
we do.
If that's the key. And so, yeah, if that's what they're saying, it's good for me to know. It helps guide us too. I also try to ask if there were negative comments for the week and what they were like, and I try to make sure that I don't just get the praise; I get the criticism too. Sent my way, there's sometimes a tendency for staff to shield their boss, and so I've tried to emphasize that. And then, after the end of the week, we kind of put everything together: mail, calls, even the conversations I have out, and we take that into consideration as we try to look at our priorities for the next week, and priorities about what we talk about.
And are all reps using the same system and the same way? Like, is there some system you're given when you come to Congress to track this stuff, or is everyone doing their own thing?
I have no idea. This was just the system I wanted.
Okay.
So
I
know I can tell you, the previous member of Congress, Jennifer Wexton, did something similar, but not the same. We basically started with what she had, and I changed it quite a bit because
so there is a lot of flexibility from rep to rep.
Yeah, really. Some people don't even have this system at all. So.
Are they even writing down calls, or some people literally just saying, yep, okay?
I couldn't tell you that, but I know that we take it very seriously.
Cool. And then, all right, here's another me question.
Okay.
If I call you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday about the same issue,
yeah,
is that on that tally sheet one time or 5 times? Does that count as 5 calls?
Yeah, it looks like it may count as 5 calls, but we'll make a note if there's the same kind of 3 or 4 people.
If you get 200 calls from me,
yeah. So we'll make sure that, and the team will also say, there were 29 calls about Elon Musk, but it was from the same 5 people.
Okay.
Like, there'll be a special note on that.
Okay.
And we'll take that into consideration if it's 29. The same thing with mail too. Sometimes websites will have a button. All you do is press a button and an email is sent to your member of Congress. Whereas some people will take the time to write out a personalized email. And so we'll take that into consideration too. Whether
interesting.
It's personalized or whether it's the same form letter 29 times.
So might they not count if they're
It's not that they don't count. It's that we'll send them a very generic reply. Versus if they send a very personalized thing, we'll try to personalize it back to them.
Okay. And then this will obviously, it sounds like, vary by rep too, but if you're not a constituent, does your call go anywhere? And the second part to that is, how about like if someone, I just saw your TikTok about this. If you are the ranking member or chair, you are of the military
and foreign affairs, yeah.
Military and foreign affairs. So if I was not a constituent and I was and I called you and said
about that,
I'm calling you in regards to your position on this committee.
We don't count that in here.
You don't count that, okay?
Yeah. We'll make a note. Like the team will say, we're getting a lot of calls from out of district about X. And we'll make a note of it, but it's not counted.
It's not counted in your numbers. Good to know.
Yeah.
And you said that you do get a couple of. So for most, you don't actually see either the email or you don't see like the exact message from a single person, but a couple you do, right?
Yeah. So what I like to do is get like a top 5. Sometimes calls of the week. And sometimes if it's a very moving call or something that, where I want to call the person back, I will. And so I try to, I call it constituent call time, where I'll call people, ask them, what's going on, or thank them for the information they provided. Even with emails too, sometimes I'll get some really informative emails or moving emails, and I'll want to respond to them. Cool.
And do you think calling your reps, does it ever make a difference in the actions they take?
That's a good question. Truly, I think, maybe 1 week of calls may not, but I feel like eventually it does. It wears down a rep. It shows that there's a lot of enthusiasm behind a certain topic. It certainly makes them think twice about things. But certainly it's, if I'm a Republican rep right now and I'm getting all these calls about Doge, to me, I sit and think, oh, it's all Democrats, right? And so if you have Republican friends who feel the same way, maybe one tactic would be to ask your Republican friends to call in and say, I'm a Republican, I voted for you, and I completely disapprove of what's going on. I think that makes a difference. And when you start to hear that on the phones a lot, then that could make a difference.
Cool. All right. I think that's all I got for this.